Hello and welcome again to this edition of Meet the Candidates 2020 on WCMU TV. I'm David Nicholas, and we are speaking this year with our guest virtually, joined this time by Karen Garvey. She is the Democratic candidate for Michigan's 70th House District. Congratulations on the August primary win. And in our first moment or two, if you can give us a little about you, also your background and experience you bring to the campaign.
Good afternoon, David. I am a lifelong resident here in the 70th District, grown and born and raised here in Edmore. I've been a teacher for 34 years. I represent our union. In the past, it's been as president and chief negotiator. I'm also on the library board here at Home Township. So I think I bring a lot of leadership skills to the table. And a lot of concern about my hometown and my community.
In the run-up to August and in the days and weeks since, you as candidate and also, of course, the prospective voters that you've been speaking with, what do you identify now as the key issues in this campaign?
I think are clean issues that have been identified for me throughout my visits with some of the city villages and the township meetings that I've had. Are clean water, renewable energy, and also jobs in our area. The socioeconomic situation here is of deep concern to people.
If we look first at the clean water concerns, then a matter of not enforcing the laws that we have, looking for different initiatives, what are the proposals you would want to enact should you be sent to Lansing?
I would really like to look at where we're at right now and move forward in more positive ways. I believe that we need to educate people as to issues on septic, as to issues of pollution as far as like our boating. The Pine River is still an issue that has taken a very long time to clean up, but I think education is the key to that. And I think we need to ask people for their input. I don't think that demanding or telling people what to do has really gotten us very far, and I think that we need to go back and bring in our community, involve people more.
Same question then for the renewable energy. We have seen certainly a growth of that even in the last 2 years since the election of 2018. What would you propose in terms of whether we're talking solar or wind farms or other forms of renewable energy? What would you propose to move more in that direction?
I think that we need to make sure that we are addressing the concerns that some of the constituents have brought up as far as renewable energy. Are they creating any more pollution or more problems? And I believe that we need to push to make sure that our renewable energy is made in an efficient manner. I think we need to encourage people to go ahead and invest in those options. I think that it would be it would be wise of us to invest and to help the communities and the people afford those. Affordability, I think, in our area, especially with the lack of jobs, is something that is a need. If we expect to move forward and we expect to bring people on, we have to encourage them to do that and make that option affordable for them.
If we talk about that, the affordability, expanding efforts into renewable energy, how can that be brought together with concerns over the jobs? What sort of economic investment do people say they hope this would bring, are seeing that it would bring, or have hopes that it might increase? How do you best bring all those elements together to make sure that it's not only good for the energy source, but also the economic engine to help drive that area?
I think one of the things that we have to do is we have to go ahead and we have to court people to come into our area. We have to court businesses. We have to ask for partnerships so that we can have business come in and also help us. Sometimes we give tax breaks and we don't ask for anything in return. And I think that we need to ask the businesses to invest in our communities, invest in our people. We have to ask them to come in and be a part of our community, invest in child care centers, invest in economic situations that they can help improve the areas. Just coming into a community and bringing jobs is going to really help. So I think that we need to ask if these businesses would come into a community and maybe we offer them some different incentives. Maybe level that up. If you offer childcare, we're going to give you this extra incentive. If you settle in a community that is a lower economic status or that needs jobs, we're going to give you an alternative or an extra incentive to do that. I think we need to ask, and we're not asking right now.
Added incentives, you say, beyond the tax breaks that are traditionally used to encourage businesses to come in, is what you're referring to then.
Correct, and maybe what it's going to involve is going back and reassessing those tax credits that we give people, restructuring those.
If we look at the issue of jobs in general, and we find this in so many of the areas where we are talking to candidates such as yourself, are there any concerns regarding the availability of the workforce having the right skills to meet those jobs? Do you have proposals to bring those two sides closer together so that you in District 70 have the right people to meet the job needs for a changing and, in this time of COVID, a restarting economy?
One of the things that I would like to see is a partnership again with those businesses coming in. Maybe we can go ahead and offer some of those classes that are in our high school. So it's an actual school to job event. Instead of you need to go to college, you need to go here. Many employers want some very specific things. And if they're willing to take some of our high school kids on, then I think that would provide an opportunity for them, but also provide those employers with exactly what they want and exactly what they need. The trades were disinvested many years ago, and I think we're seeing the effects of that right now. So I believe that we need to go back and we need to place an emphasis on those. You
mentioned earlier the overall issue of clean water, and I wanted to look at that a little bit more when we look at that. You talked about bringing the awareness to it, but also you mentioned the septic discharge and obviously the impact that boating can have. Do you as candidate identify, or do the voters tell you that we don't have enough regulation, that the regulations are not being enforced? Does it all come back to the education component and people having a greater awareness? Where do you see the biggest need that we need to address when it comes to some of these efforts, again, being allowed, but in conjunction with keeping the water clean?
Well, we are the only state in the U.S. that does not have any kind of a septic regulation. And I know in the past there has been proposals to have septic regulations come in. The problem with that is I don't think people were educated enough as to what the problem is, and I don't think we offered them solutions. Everybody figured out that they were going to be hit with a really big bill. I have to replace my septic, or I'm going to need to do this or that. And in this economic area, they just can't afford that. So I think that we need to go back. We need to educate. We need to maybe do a tiered system. And maybe it's something that we're going to offer tax credits or extremely low interest fixed rate loans. We have to be able to work with the public, and we have to be able to educate them if we're going to form a partnership. And that's what this is going to take. It's going to take a partnership.
The Pine River, the Velsicol aftermath, and 40, now almost 50 years plus in that impact in the Alma St. Louis area. Very unique situation to the district you hope to represent. Is there a need for, and do we see a lack of funding from the state level, the federal level? Where do you see the greatest attention needs to be made to continue that effort, not have it stall out, to address not only the cleanup, but the ongoing health concerns and impacts that we've seen?
Well, speaking with some of the folks that are involved with cleaning up the Pine River, I know that it's an issue for them that they have to reapply for grants and they have to reapply for money. That is something that just needs to stop. If we're expecting this to be cleaned up and we are expecting this to improve our environment, we have to be able to back it. I don't know all that much about toxic cleanup, but it seems to me that 50 plus years, cleaning up the site has been way too long.
About 3 minutes left. We are talking with Karen Garvey. She's a Democratic candidate for Michigan's 70th House District. We talk about water, renewable energy, jobs, and the education, bringing those elements together. Another key issue that you might point to, or that the voters have brought to your attention in this campaign?
One of the things that has been asked of me, am I ready to listen? And I think that the key issue, if we want people to go ahead and vote and to participate, we have to be willing to listen. We can't just be willing to dictate and tell. One of the 2 meetings that I had gone to, the specific question was, are you going to show up, or is this going to be the last time we see you? I think there has to be a vested interest. You honestly, truly have to want to improve your area, and you have to be willing to listen to all sides. Someone has asked me what my plan is. There is no plan. You know, if I get elected, there are a lot of ideas. And if I had a plan, then I wouldn't be listening to my constituents and to what they want. So I have a lot of ideas, and I'm willing and able to listen to people to bring those ideas together and come up with something that's workable.
There is a level of partisanship not only in Lansing, we certainly see it on the national level as well. When you look at becoming that better listener and taking the ideas to be able to turn them into plans, do you get the sense that this is a change we can make incrementally? What would be the first thing that you would want to do to start bridging that divide that we see with one side versus the other in addressing any of these concerns? What going beyond listening or sitting down, what can be the first way in a very actionable way that you can address that level of moving to get things done?
Because we are so partisan, I do believe that we have to form the relationships right at the local level. If we have the Pine River that needs to be cleaned up, I think that we need to have Democrats and the Republicans sit down at a table together and move forward on that specific issue. I think that we are not specific enough. I think that we are taking a really global picture, or a large picture of what we want to happen, and it's almost too much to bite off at any one time. So I think forming those relationships, finding the likenesses between both of our parties is what needs to come together to make this work.
In the last half minute we have with you then, if you were to bring this together in one message that you wanted to leave with the voters as they get set to go to the polls, what would that message be?
I would really like to work for everybody. I'd really like us to all work together to move ourselves forward. Partisanship, I think we have way more likes than we have differences, and I really would like to come together with that and work towards solving our solutions, solving our problems.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to talk not only with us, but to those voters in the 70th District that you hope to represent. We hope that you can stay safe, and good luck the rest of the way on the campaign. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. Goodbye.
We have been speaking with Karen Garvey. She is the Democratic candidate for Michigan's 70th House District seat. A reminder that under Michigan election laws, all qualifying party candidates in these races were invited to participate in our series. I'm David Nicholas. On behalf of all of us, thank you for joining us. We hope you will again. And please do remember to get out and exercise your right to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd.